The PDF that I'm sending you is my personal profile, and I think it'll just be a good way for you to organize what you've done so far as assessments go, because they can all start running into each other and then it's confusing which was what. So this is just a way to organize what we've done. So the Wise Wandering map themes, you can place them in this box. The signature strengths, that is referring to this assessment that you took where your values, your signature strengths, you can place them here. The interest assessment, that one is referring to the Holland Code RIASEC assessment, and this is a class period where we did that survey, so you didn't get a whole lesson on this one. I'll just take a brief minute to explain this. This assessment will give you a 3-letter code, and you actually will have taken that assessment found here in Type Focus. So right here where it says assessment, when you click on it, you took all 4 of those. So the interest right here, it would have given you your top 3 areas. So for me, investigative, artistic, and social, my Holland code or my interest code is going to be the first letter in each of these areas. So mine is IAS. And then whatever that came out for you, you'll just take those top 3, the letter in each word, and make that your code. So what that means, looking at this, investigative, I'll just show these pictures, it might explain it a little better. I'll start with the first. When R, the letter R for realistic, that's referring to hands-on work, a person that's really interested in doing hands-on work, and that's referring to areas in this picture: cooking, floral, working with animals, carpentry, anything that's very hands-on. And then the next one is investigative. So that one is referring to things like working in a lab, investigative journaling, medical field, anything that's just very scientifically investigative. And then the third one is artistic. So that's that creative side. As you can see in these pictures, it can range from dancing to architecture and social. This is the S. Okay, let me see if I get the right one. This one's going to be working with people, primarily pretty much one-on-one with people, and that's education, medical field, volunteerism, mentoring, anything like that, where you're working one-on-one with people. And then we have enterprising, and that is persuading others. If you enjoy the business world, where you are a persuader, you're selling, entrepreneurial, things like that. And then the last one right here, conventional, that's this area. And so looking at these pictures, this is going to be jobs that are detail oriented, very conventional, and generally speaking, accounting, office work, organizing, those are great areas for conventional mindsets. Here's a different, oops, that's not a very good picture. Let me find a better one. Okay, here's a better picture. I'm going to send you this PDF as well. You might notice this attachment. And there's several pages to this PDF. So the first one, you'll be able to see this picture here, and I like this picture a lot better because it gives you examples for that realistic. You see the tools right there. It's working with your hands, and then it gives these areas underneath it that would connect with that. And as you go around, you can see underneath different types of industries that connect with each of these areas, and so that's helpful. What we've done in this document that I'm sending you is we've connected all of those interest codes to the different colleges. Underneath each college is each department. And so I can show you. So right here for the College of Agriculture and Life Science, it's the investigative and realistic are 2 areas that are very high. If you were to go into any of these fields, you'll be touching on those interests, and you see enterprise, conventional here, social, artistic. Anyway, but to make it even better, the next page, it actually shows you the realistic interest, and then it connects to the majors on campus that really connect with this realistic hands-on side. And this might be helpful for some of you who are still looking for direction. You can look at some of those areas. Sometimes the second letter is realistic and the first letter investigative, which it has an element of both of those to that degree. And that brings me to another point. When you look at this Holland Code document, you can see that for mine, for example, mine was IAS, and do you see how they're all connected right next to each other? That means that it's going to be real easy to find all three of these elements, the investigative, artistic, and social, within one type of job. Some of you might have realistic, and then on the opposite end, social. And so that just means that it's going to be harder to find an industry that's going to have both of these elements connected in a strong way. Because realistic, hands-on, those are individuals that just like working with things, working on things, working with their hands. And they're not as likely to find working with people in that same industry. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, it just might be a little harder to find. So that's how to read that. So you can scroll through all of these different pages and look at your Holland Code and see how they connect to these documents. So coming back to my personal profile, in this box right here, you can put your 3-letter code, and then finally the personality assessment. This one is where you got that 4-letter code. It's also called the Myers-Briggs code, and that one is the one that you took in Type Focus. Let me see. Okay, so here it is. In the self-assessment, come right here to personality, and it gives you that 4-letter code. So scrolling down, for me, that's my 4-letter code. And so in the document, my personal profile, you can put that 4-letter code there. I showed you the Truity website, and you can see that all the codes are there. So I'm just going to look at the INFP, since most of you in class were INFPs. And then again, here are all these areas. You'll notice the last one here says relationships. I generally don't spend a lot of time with students reviewing this, but I do encourage students to look at it because I just think it's interesting. And when you scroll to the bottom, you can see this personality and love, parenting, and communication style. So that might be interesting to look at in your season of life. When you click on strengths, you'll see these 4 strengths, and it's really nice to review those strengths. Typically speaking, for this personality type, that's what they have as a strength. And when you go to job interviews, a lot of times employers will ask, well, what are your strengths? And this just gives words or verbiage to explain what your strengths are. And then when you click on the career tab, this description right here just gives the ideal working environment for this personality type. And then when you continue to scroll down, you'll see that there are different industries or different areas listed. And so for this particular personality type, there's an arts and design industry, community, social service, business, social science, and healthcare. So you can see all the different industries there. And when you're not sure about the direction you want to go, the first step is just to narrow down into which industry really interests you most. And then from there, then you can look at different careers within that industry. This is not a comprehensive list, but at least it gives you an idea. So if a person was interested in social work, for example, when you click on it, you can read about the duties, and it gives you other figures, the work environment, all those kinds of things that are very interesting to look at. And usually it'll have pay, median pay, so it's and it breaks it down. So it's good to look at these kinds of things. Job outlook, what does it look like moving into the future? So that's how you can use that effectively. Back to the strengths page, I forgot to show you, okay, weaknesses. You may connect with some of these, you may not, but they usually identify at least 4 weaknesses. And the cool thing about this website, it gives growth and development. So if a person were to grow and develop in these ways, they're more likely to overcome weaknesses. So that's a really great thing to be aware of. So in the personal profile, there is a box here where if you desire, you can put descriptive characteristics from Truity regarding that Myers-Briggs code or the 4-letter code. Now, when it comes to hard skills and soft skills, we'll discuss that one more down the road. And then if there are any careers that you are becoming interested in looking at, you can write those down. It's just there if you need it to help organize your thoughts and organize what you've been looking at. I hope this is helpful. For those of you who have already defined direction, just continue diving into these different industries or your personality characteristics. And my invitation to you is to start testing it in any way possible. The direction you're going, start attending, shadowing a class, shadowing a person who's actually working in the field, those kinds of things. And that's always helpful.